Marrakech greets us at dusk, when the day softens and the city begins to breathe in a different rhythm. The sun lowers over the Atlas Mountains, painting the sky with shades of amber and rose. The light falls against the old Medina walls, turning their terracotta stones into glowing embers. For a moment, the city feels suspended, caught between day and night, as if waiting to exhale. The first sound that reaches us is the call to prayer. It rises gently from the minarets, echoing across rooftops, carrying a voice that feels both near and far. The notes stretch into the evening air, lingering like threads of gold across the sky. It is not a command, but a reminder, inviting the heart to settle. As the call fades, the city shifts. Lanterns begin to glow along narrow streets, their brass sides carved with patterns that spill light in lace across the walls. Doors open onto small courtyards. Market stalls prepare for night, their awnings stretching out like the wings of birds. We walk slowly into the Medina. The air is cooler now, carrying scents that tell their own stories. Dust of the day still lingers, mixed with the sweetness of oranges stacked in baskets, the warmth of fresh bread pulled from clay ovens, the spice of cinnamon drifting faintly from a stall nearby. Each breath feels layered, as though the air itself were a tapestry woven with flavor. The streets are narrow, curving like a maze. Archways rise overhead, their plasterwork etched with patterns of stars and flowers. Wooden doors, painted in faded blues and greens, stand half open, revealing glimpses of tiled courtyards where fountains whisper. Children weave through the lanes, their laughter carried in small bursts before dissolving into the growing hush of dusk. As we reach a wider street, the rhythm changes. Jemaa el-Fnaa, the great square, begins to stir with its nightly transformation. Stalls rise like blossoms, each one unfolding in lantern glow. The hum of voices grows, but softer than in the brightness of day. Now the market moves with calm assurance, as though the night itself has taken charge. The sky above darkens into deep indigo. Stars begin to appear, faint at first, then brighter, scattered like silver grains across velvet. The rooftops of Marrakech become silhouettes, sharp and angular against the softening light. Smoke drifts upward from cooking fires, curling into the sky like incense, carrying with it the promise of meals soon to be shared. The city feels alive, yet not hurried. Every sound, the call of a vendor, the clink of brass cups, the flutter of fabric in the breeze, seems softened, rounded by dusk. Even footsteps against the stone are slower, less sharp, as though the ground itself is cushioning each step. A lantern seller arranges his display, polishing the glass of each lamp until it shines. The lights multiply, reflecting off brass and copper, creating halos that shimmer against the evening air. He works quietly, almost meditatively, his gestures steady and sure. Watching him feels like watching time itself fold into patience. Marrakech at dusk is not loud, not overwhelming. It is a slow unfolding, like a curtain drawing across the stage of the day. The market becomes a dream in motion, each detail softened by lantern light, each sound carried gently by the air. We pause at the edge of the square, where the Medina walls rise tall, their surfaces glowing faintly as they release the last warmth of the sun. Behind us, the call to prayer fades into memory. Before us, the market prepares to reveal its secrets. The night is young, and Marrakech is ready to guide us through its dream. The market unfolds like a labyrinth, each turn offering a new frame of light and shadow. The alleyways are narrow, their walls rising close, painted in shades of clay and ochre. Lanterns hang from iron hooks, spilling patterns across the plaster, turning every wall into a canvas of shifting stars. The arches above are carved with delicate detail. Some are plain, their plaster crumbling softly, touched by age. Others carry intricate patterns, stars, blossoms, flowing lines, etched by hands long gone, yet still alive in the stone. Passing beneath each arch feels like moving through a doorway into another rhythm of the night. The doors that line the alleys are stories of their own. Heavy cedar, studded with brass nails, their surfaces polished by countless touches. Some are painted blue, echoing the desert sky at midday. Others are green, the color of gardens hidden within the Medina walls. When they stand ajar, they reveal courtyards tiled in mosaics of turquoise and white, fountains murmuring softly in the center. The air inside those spaces is cooler, carrying the scent of orange blossoms and mint. They are the city's secrets, glimpses of stillness in the heart of its pulse. As we walk, the passageways open suddenly into small squares. Here, stalls gather around the edges, their awnings stretched wide, casting long shadows across the stone. The stalls glow with lantern light, each one displaying its treasures: hand-woven carpets folded in rich layers, brass trays etched with circles of suns and moons, ceramics painted in cobalt blue, their glazes shining like water under flame. Overhead, rooftops rise, their outlines sharp against the sky. Some are flat, with terraces where families gather in the cool of evening. Others are crowned with minarets, their slender forms reaching upward, lit faintly by hidden lamps. The rooftops feel like watchful guardians, holding the city together under the indigo veil of night. As dusk deepens, Jemaa el-Fnaa awakens fully. The square spreads wide, an open heart at the center of Marrakech. By day, it is filled with vendors and voices, but at night, it becomes something different. Lanterns bloom across its surface, cooking fires spark into life, and the air becomes thick with light and shadow, fragrance and sound. Smoke drifts upward, soft and silver against the darkening sky. It curls around the lanterns, diffusing their glow, giving the air the hazy softness of a dream. The square feels endless, yet intimate, every corner glowing with its own life. Stalls rise in neat lines, each one with its awning stretched like a sail. The canvas catches the lantern glow, painted with shades of gold and crimson. Beneath, baskets overflow with oranges and figs. Pyramids of spices glow in red and yellow, and brass teapots gleam as though they hold stars within.
In the distance, the Kutubiyya Mosque rises, its minaret tall and steady against the horizon. Its stone glows softly, touched by hidden lamps. The call to prayer has faded, but its presence remains, silent yet powerful. anchoring the night. The architecture of Marrakech is not meant to overwhelm. It surrounds you gently, its patterns guiding the eye, its walls cradling the body, its spaces flowing from narrow to open, from shadow to light. It is a rhythm of contrast, arches and alleys, stalls and squares, silence and song. As we wander deeper, the ground beneath our feet tells its own story. The stones are uneven, worn smooth in places, rough in others. They carry the memory of countless steps, travelers, merchants, children, dreamers. Each stone feels alive with passage, echoing the countless nights the market has welcomed before. Everywhere, lanterns guide the way. Their patterns flicker on walls, floors, fabrics, faces. No two lanterns are the same, yet together they create harmony, like notes in a song. The city does not fight the night. It embraces it, turns it into beauty, lets it breathe across stone and air. Above the rooftops, the sky is almost fully dark. A handful of stars glimmer faintly, but their presence feels softer than the lanterns below. Here, it is the earth that glows, not the heavens. The city itself has become the constellation. Every flame a star, every stall a galaxy, every alleyway a pathway into another dream.
And so, as we stand in the heart of the square, the architecture surrounds us. Walls, arches, rooftops, minarets, all softened by dusk, all gathered into one rhythm. Marrakech does not separate the sacred from the ordinary, the ancient from the present, the market from the temple. It allows everything to exist together, breathing, glowing, waiting. The square hums with life, yet it is not hurried. As dusk settles, Marrakech moves with a rhythm that feels older than time, steady and measured, like the beating of a great heart. Vendors speak in low voices, arranging their goods with practiced hands. They call out softly, not with urgency, but with warmth. A word here, a greeting there, laughter spilling gently into the air. The sound is not sharp, but rounded by dusk, softened as though the night itself has placed a veil across every voice. The murmur of bargaining drifts through the stalls. A hand gestures, a smile forms, a price is considered, then lowered with a chuckle. The conversation is a dance, and in the end, both vendor and visitor bow slightly, satisfied. It is not the exchange of coins that matters most, but the exchange of presence. Two people meeting for a brief moment in the life of the square. Musicians begin to gather at the edges of Jemaa el-Fnaa. A flute rises first, its notes high and wandering, curling through the smoke and lantern light like threads of silver. Then a drum joins, its rhythm steady, pulsing like footsteps across the stone. A third instrument enters, perhaps a lute, plucking notes that shimmer faintly like sparks from a fire. Together they create a soundscape that feels both alive and calming, as though the night itself has learned to sing. Children weave through the crowd, their laughter bright but fleeting.
They chase one another between stalls, stopping to peer at trays of sweets or brass lamps that glow like captured suns. Their sandals slap lightly against the stones, a playful rhythm that soon dissolves into the larger hum of the square. Storytellers gather small circles of listeners, their voices rising and falling with cadence. Though the words may not be understood by all, the rhythm carries meaning. Their hands move in graceful arcs, their eyes glint with the fire of imagination. The crowd leans closer, smiling softly, caught not only by the tale but by the ritual of telling. It is as those stories themselves are lanterns, glowing briefly before passing into memory. Cooking fires flare, sending sparks into the air. The smoke carries scents of spice and sweetness, drifting through the crowd, settling over the square like incense. The haze softens the lantern light, turning it golden, blurring edges, making everything feel closer, warmer, more intimate. A man pours mint tea from high above the glass, the liquid arching in a perfect stream before landing with a frothy crown. The crowd watching chuckles softly, not loudly but appreciatively, the way one might smile at a familiar song. The glass is handed over, the steam curling upward, joining the perfume of cinnamon and saffron already in the air. The atmosphere of Marrakech at dusk is one of layers. Voices blend with music, music blends with laughter, laughter blends with the hum of the crowd. Above it all, the night sky expands, indigo deepening into black, stars peeking through the haze of smoke and lantern glow.
Nothing feels out of place. The sellers, the musicians, the storytellers, the children, the cooks, each is a thread woven together into the same fabric. The square becomes less a marketplace and more a living tapestry, a space where every sound and scent, every gesture and glance belongs. As we walk, we notice the small details. A woman adjusting her scarf before entering a stall. A vendor polishing the surface of a brass tray until it shines. A boy pausing to tie his sandal before darting off again. Each action is quiet, unremarkable on its own, yet together they create the texture of the evening. The crowd shifts, but never rushes. People move with purpose, yet without urgency. It is as though dusk itself has slowed the city's pulse, reminding everyone to breathe, to linger, to watch the lanterns glow. The musicians play on, their rhythm steady, their melody weaving seamlessly with the murmur of voices. A drumbeat echoes faintly beneath the chatter, grounding it, giving it weight. A flute rises upward, carrying the sound airy and free. The music is not performance alone, it is atmosphere, a companion to the market's hum. At the edge of the square, a snake charmer sits quietly, his flute sending slow notes into the air. The crowd is small. The snakes move lazily, their rhythm unhurried, their presence more symbolic than dramatic. The charm lies not in spectacle, but in the slow ritual, the patience of movement, the blending of sound and stillness. Marrakech does not push its stories upon you. It lets them drift, like smoke, like music, like laughter. It asks only that you breathe deeply enough to notice.
And so, as the square glows brighter,
As voices and drums and smoke rise into the night, we feel ourselves carried not into noise, but into calm. The atmosphere is full, yet it soothes. It is a lullaby woven from spice and shadow, voice and flame, guiding us deeper into the dream of Marrakech. The air of Marrakech at dusk is thick with fragrance, each step unveiling another layer of flavor carried upon the night breeze. The first is spice. Stalls rise in pyramids of color, saffron glowing like sunlight trapped in threads, cinnamon curled into dark brown sticks, cumin ground into golden powder, and paprika blazing in deep red heaps. Each mound is precise, balanced, a sculpture of taste waiting to dissolve into warmth. The air around the spice cellars is alive, as though the fragrances themselves have voices. Breathe deeply and your chest fills with both fire and comfort. We pause by a basket of fresh mint, its green leaves glistening under lantern light. The scent is sharp yet soothing, crisp as cool water. It is this mint that will soon meet boiling water and sugar poured high into glasses to become Morocco's most beloved ritual, tea. Nearby, a man kneads dough with steady hands, his motions unhurried, his palms pressing rhythm into the soft surface. He shapes the dough into rounds, slides them against the wall of a clay oven, and waits as the bread swells and browns. The smell of it drifts outward, warm and grounding, carrying a memory of earth itself. When pulled from the oven, the bread crackles softly, its crust golden, its center soft and tender. In this simple act, Marrakech shares a comfort as ancient as the stones beneath our feet.
Bowls of olives line another stall, their surfaces gleaming in oil. Greens, blacks, and purples shimmer like jewels, each one flavored differently, salty, sharp, spiced with lemon, or mellowed with herbs. Alongside them rest figs and dates, their sweetness shining in the lantern glow. The dates are deep brown, soft to the touch, their flesh honeyed, their sweetness lingering on the tongue like a gentle song. Stacks of oranges rise like small suns, their skin bright against the indigo of night. Some are pressed into juice on the spot, poured into tall glasses that glow golden against the flame of lanterns. The first sip is tart, then sweet, cooling the body, refreshing the spirit. It is a flavor that belongs to both the earth and the sky, sunlight captured and offered again in liquid form. At another corner, trays of pastries glisten with syrup and almonds. Honey drips slowly, catching the light, holding it briefly before sliding away. The pastries are delicate, flaky, layered with nuts and spice, each bite the small burst of richness. They are not hurried foods. They are meant to be savored, one sweet mouthful at a time, accompanied by the steam of tea or the warmth of laughter. And there is tea, always tea. A brass teapot gleams in the firelight, its spout lifted high as a stream of liquid arcs into waiting glasses. The sound is delicate, like a waterfall in miniature. The tea froth set the surface, its green deepened by sugar, its flavor lifted by mint. The first sip is hot and sweet, cooling quickly on the
tongue, leaving behind a freshness that feels both grounding and freeing.
The act of serving tea is not rushed. It is performed like ritual. The pot lifted higher with each pour, the liquid arching gracefully through the air. To receive the glass is to share in something sacred yet simple, a gesture that speaks of welcome, of patience, of generosity. In Marrakech, tea is not a drink. It is a pause, a moment of stillness folded into the fabric of the night. The food of the square is not only for the body, but for the spirit. Bread that comforts, olives that sharpen, fruit that refreshes, sweets that linger, tea that soothes. Each bite feels like a note in the music of dusk, another thread woven into the tapestry of the evening. As we wander, the scents follow us. Cinnamon warms the air, mint sharpens it, bread grounds it, honey sweetens it. Together they form a lullaby for the senses, calming yet alive, gentle yet full. And so, surrounded by pyramids of spice, trays of bread, bowls of olives, and streams of tea, we feel nourished not only in body but in soul. Marrakech at dusk does not simply feed. It comforts, it lulls, it carries us deeper into the dream of the night. The market is alive, not only with stalls and scents, but with people, each one carrying a quiet beauty that belongs to the night.
Vendors stand behind their displays, wrapped in jalabas, with long hoods draped over their shoulders. The fabric flows with their movements, simple and steady, like waves of cloth folding and unfolding. Some are plain, in muted earth tones that echo the desert. Others are striped, their patterns catching the lantern light, glowing faintly in the shadows. The vendors move with patience, adjusting a bowl, polishing a tray, offering a smile. Their presence feels less like selling and more like sharing, as though each item is an extension of themselves. Women pass through the square, scarves drawn gently around their heads, the fabric bright with color, turquoise, crimson, saffron, emerald. Each scarf shimmers differently under the lanterns, turning with every step, revealing flashes of pattern and texture. Their movements are graceful, unhurried, their laughter soft as they pause at stalls, fingertips brushing over fabric, over jewelry, over baskets of spice. Even the smallest gestures, adjusting a fold of cloth, lifting a corner of fabric to examine its weave, carry an elegance that lingers. Children weave in and out of the crowd, their energy playful, yet never loud. Their sandals tap lightly against the stone, a rhythm that blends with the music and voices. Some trail behind their parents, tugging at sleeves, eyes wide with wonder at the glow of lanterns and pyramids of sweets. Others chase one another, their scarves flying behind like banners. Their joy feels like a spark, bright but fleeting, dissolving quickly back into the calm of the square. Lantern sellers polish brass lamps, their hands moving in circles that catch the flame. Each lamp reflects the others, multiplying the light until it seems as though stars themselves have descended into the market. The sellers adjust their displays with care, lifting one lamp higher, lowering another, creating harmony from light. Watching them, you feel the patience of their craft, the devotion to beauty in even the smallest detail. Fabric merchants spread rolls of cloth across wooden tables. Wool, thick and soft, woven in deep shades of indigo and crimson. Silk that catches the faintest flicker of flame, shifting like water as it moves. Cotton patterned in diamonds, stripes, and blossoms. The merchants gesture slowly, lifting the edge of fabric to show its weave, then folding it back with practiced precision. The cloth itself seems to breathe, glowing faintly under lantern light, filling the night with color and texture. The gestures of the people are as important as their clothing. A hand offering tea, steady and sure. A nod exchanged between vendor and visitor. A bow of the head as someone passes through a narrow alley. Each gesture is small, almost invisible, yet together they form a language of respect and welcome. Even the musicians carry fashion into their art. One drummer wears a bright sash at his waist, its tassels swaying with each beat. The flute player has a scarf draped across his shoulders, patterned with stars that shimmer as he leans forward. Their music is woven into their clothing, their rhythm reflected in their color.
The crowd itself becomes a tapestry. Earth tones of jalabas, bright hues of scarves, muted shadows of wool, shimmering silk, all moving slowly under lantern glow. No single figure dominates. Instead, the square breathes as one body, each thread of color and gesture woven into a greater whole. To watch the people of Marrakech at dusk is to see harmony in motion. Nothing is rushed, nothing forced. Each movement flows into the next. Each fabric folds into shadow. Each color brightens into flame. Together, they form a living painting, not fixed, not still, but always changing, always glowing. The fashion of Marrakech is not about display, it is about belonging. Belonging to the season, to the air, to the night itself. The jalaba against the cool breeze, the scarf catching the lantern light, the sash swinging with the rhythm of drums. Clothing here is less adornment than language, a way of saying without words, I am part of this night. I am part of this place. And so, as we watch the people move through the square, vendors, women, children, musicians, we see not individuals alone, but threads in the fabric of Marrakech. Their colors, their gestures, their laughter, their stillness, all woven into the market's lullaby, carrying us deeper into its dream. As lanterns glow brighter and the market settles into its rhythm, stories begin to stir in the air. Marrakech has always been a city of storytellers, where words are as treasured as spices, as fragrant as mint tea, as enduring as stone. At the edge of Jemaa el-Fnaa, a circle forms. A storyteller stands within, his hands moving slowly, his voice flowing with cadence. The language may not be understood by all, yet the rhythm carries meaning. His eyes gleam in the lantern glow, his gestures carve shapes in the smoke. Around him, listeners lean forward, smiling softly, caught by the music of his voice. In this moment, words themselves become lanterns, glowing briefly, then fading into memory. Some stories speak of caravans that once crossed the desert, bringing treasures of silk, salt, and spice. The camels moved like shadows across the sand, their bells ringing softly against the endless silence. The tales tell of nights beneath star-filled skies, fires glowing in the dunes, songs carried by the wind. The desert was vast,
but the caravans carried with them a sense of home. Each story passed along the route, becoming part of Marrakech's breath. Other stories are older still, woven with mystery. They tell of jinn, not as frightful creatures, but as companions of the unseen world. It is said that they dwell in corners where lantern light does not reach, in courtyards after doors are closed, in whispers of wind through arches. They are not there to harm, but to remind us of what lies beyond sight. The flicker of a lamp, the sudden hush of a breeze, these are their signatures, soft reminders that the world is larger than we know. Children lean close when such tales are told, their eyes wide, their smiles half hidden. They listen not with fear, but with wonder, as though jinn are simply another part of the city's tapestry, like lanterns, spices, and songs. For them, these stories are not warnings, but lullabies of mystery.
There are also tales of dusk itself. In Marrakech, they say that twilight is when the city speaks most softly, when the day loosens its grip and the night has not yet claimed its hold. The air becomes a bridge between worlds. In that moment, voices of ancestors may be heard in the rustle of palm leaves, blessings felt in the warmth of bread, guidance found in the glow of a single lantern. Dusk is not only a time, it is a presence, a gentle spirit that lingers every evening, reminding all who listen that life itself is a story unfolding. A musician tells of a flute once carved from olive wood, said to carry not only sound, but memory. When played, it was believed to echo with the voices of those who had listened before, their laughter, their sighs, their secrets. To hear it was to feel connected, not only to the present moment, but to countless others across time. And in the smoke of the cooking fires, another legend drifts. The story of a lamp polished not to sell, but to remember. A man kept the lamp glowing night after night, though it lit only a small corner of his home. When asked why, he said it held the voice of his grandmother, who told him stories by its glow. The lamp, he believed, carried not just flame, but memory, and in tending it, he tended the love that lingered. These stories are not meant to be proven. They are meant to be felt. They belong not to history, but to atmosphere, a thread woven through the smoke, the spices, the lantern light.
And so, as we listen, we realize that Marrakech does not divide the real from the imagined. It lets them flow together like tea and mint, like shadow and flame. To walk here at dusk is to walk not only through a market, but through centuries of voices, each one adding its own note to the song of the square. And in that song, we hear the truth of Marrakech, that every stone, every spice, every story is alive, and that in listening, we too become part of the tale, carried gently like smoke into the night. The square glows like a constellation now, each lantern a star, each fire a planet. The night has fully arrived, yet nothing feels heavy. Instead, the air hums with warmth, as though Marrakech itself is breathing a lullaby. We find a place to rest at a rooftop cafe. The steps are narrow, the walls painted in faded ochre, and at the top, the view opens like a gift. Below, Jemaa el-Fnaa spreads wide, filled with smoke and glow, movement and stillness. From here, The sounds are softened, distant, like waves upon a shore. The drums play faintly, their rhythm steady but low. A flute carries its notes upward, weaving through the haze, delicate as silk. Voices murmur below. Laughter drifts upward in wisps, then fades quickly into the night. From this height, it feels less like a crowd and more like a single breath, exhaled slowly into the stars. The waiter brings a pot of mint tea, the brass shining in the lantern glow. The liquid arcs into small glasses, steaming in the cool air. We lift the glass, warm in our hands, the scent sharp and sweet. The first sip spreads calm, the sugar softening the mint, the warmth settling deep within. Each sip feels like a blessing, a reminder that the simplest comforts are the most enduring. Below, smoke curls from cooking stalls, rising into the air like incense. The haze softens the square, blurring edges, blending lanterns into a sea of gold. The people become silhouettes, drifting shapes against the glow. It feels less like watching a market and more like watching a dream that hums, glows, and breathes. Above, the Koutoubia minaret rises steady, its form dark against the stars. It does not move, yet it seems to anchor the night, holding the square in balance. Around it, the stars shine brighter, scattered across the sky like grains of sugar upon indigo cloth. Time itself feels different here. Minutes stretch like silk, hours fold gently into one another. The night does not rush, it simply deepens, guiding the city into rest.
We lean against the railing, the tea glass warm between our palms, and let our gaze wander. The glow below, the stars above, the breeze carrying scents of cinnamon, mint, and smoke, the hum of voices like a lullaby. Marrakech does not sleep quickly to let thoughts soften, to let breath steady, to let the lantern light guide us gently toward rest. The drums fade first, their rhythm slowing. The flute holds a last note, high and trembling, before dissolving into silence. The square hums lower, softer, until only the glow remains, a sea of gold against the stone. And so we close our eyes. The lanterns dim, the smoke drifts away, the stars remain, quiet guardians above. The market breathes, the city rests, and we too may rest. May your dreams be as warm as mint tea, as soft as lantern glow, as endless as the desert sky. Sleep comes easily here, not hurried, not forced, but natural, like dusk becoming night, like story becoming memory, like breath becoming calm. And with that, Marrakech releases us gently into sleep.
you.